What's going on, everybody? Josh here from Mid-Georgia Lawn Specialist. It has been a very long time since I made a video. I apologize for that. I think the last video I put out was before Thanksgiving, I think. My goal here is to put out a video every 2 to 3 weeks. But it's been a long time since the last one, so we're going to try to get back on track. Speaking of the holidays, I hope everybody had a good holiday season. Get through Thanksgiving, Christmas. Hope everybody had a good Christmas, a good New Year's. Spend some time with some family, eat some good food. That's what it's all about. So today on our agenda, I want to make a short video. Got a good fire going over here. I'm just trying to keep an eye on it. Make sure we don't burn the woods down. On today's agenda, I want to talk about a chute blocker. And I don't know how many of you guys are running them, but I would highly recommend, if you don't have one, go get you one. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about mine in particular. I know when I first started cutting grass, I wanted one. I knew I wanted one. I just didn't really have the money to go buy one because there's several companies out there that make them, but they're kind of expensive. For what they are, I feel like they're kind of expensive. Now, some of them I think, was it Bollard Products or something like that? I know they make one that's super nice. It's like spring loaded. It's got a little handle sticking up where you can grab it, if you're on the mower. But today I just want to talk a little bit about mine in particular, and show you how easy it is to make one. It may not have all the bells and whistles, but it'll get you where you need to be. So for those of you who don't necessarily know what a chute blocker is, it's basically just a piece of metal that blocks off the discharge on the deck. There's a lot of good reasons to have one, especially if you cut around a lot of swimming pools, or if you cut, some of your properties have really nice flower beds, and they're just nice manicured properties. You don't want to blow grass and leaves and all kind of crap up in the flower beds or in the swimming pool or anything like that. Another reason they're so good, they save me a lot of time when I start cutting. Let's say I'm in a neighborhood and the quickest route for me to start cutting is off the trailer, the driveway to the yard. Well, I might be discharging towards the road. So instead of blowing all that out in the road and then having to come back and blow it all back and all that, I just drop that chute blocker down and get to cutting. It works really well for mulching up leaves too. If you're in an area that has a lot of leaves, or if you have customers that have a lot of leaves, a lot of trees, it works really good for that too. You can drop that chute blocker down, especially if you have a set of mulching blades. It turns a good dry leaves, it turns them into like powder. And I haven't had really any drawbacks with running a chute blocker. It hasn't really hindered me from being able to do anything that I would do if I didn't have one. If that makes any sense, if you can follow that. But anyway, here's the one that I got. So if you watch my previous videos, I run a Gravely, a ZTHD, excellent mower. I have started having a little bit of a problem though, and I'll get into that in another video. It's not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker. I'm still 100% pro Gravely, but we'll get into that in another video. But anyway, so here's my setup. Now I'm almost positive that the Pro Turns are this same way. So when I bought this mower, this portion right here, it had like a molded rubber discharge deal. So when I bought this mower, I knew that I was wanting a chute blocker. Like I said, I was looking around online at them, and they're just a little out of my price range for just for starting out. Looking back on it now, if I would have had the money to buy one then, I probably would have gone ahead and bought one, knowing what I know now and how valuable it is to me and my business. But like I said, I'm pretty sure the The Pro Turns are built this same way. So like I said, it had this rubber molded piece that kind of bolted right here. And all this is still factory. All this is the way it came from the dealer. I just unbolted this rubber chute deal. And I got well, hang on, let me back up. So this is why I like this setup so much, and why it was so easy for me to build this chute blocker setup. This whole deal right here is basically on 2 hinges. You know, you got a bolt right here, and you've got a bolt right here, and you can just pull it up. Well, once you pull it up to a certain point, it falls down and it locks in place. So if I'm ever out in the middle of a yard, or if I get in a real thick grass or anything like that, I don't have to really fool with it too much. And you can actually see, I don't know if you might not be able to tell on camera, but this little area right here is like super clean. Everything else is dirty as crap. But that's from me leaning over and grabbing this corner right here and just flipping it up while I'm on the move. I don't have to stop and get off the mower. And actually, while I'm sitting on the mower, I can reach down and grab this bolt right here and flip it back down. So basically what I did was I took the measurements and went and got it's a 10 or 11 gauge piece of steel. I believe this is 11 gauge, but anyway, I went and got this piece of steel, took my measurements, put it in a metal brake, and put a perfect 90-degree bend in it. Marked my holes, got some bolts, put it all together, and that's pretty much it. I thought I was going to have to do some trimming, because you can tell, like right here in the front, the deck's up here, but it seems like this thing hangs down real far. I mean, it lines up good in the back, but it seems like this thing hangs down super far in the front, but it really hadn't imposed a problem. Even with me jumping curbs and cutting across the sidewalk or whatever the case may be, I've never had this corner right here really hit or grab anything. So I never really did anything with it. I didn't really see the point, but I mean, like I said, you could trim it up if you just really wanted to. You could trim it up and it wouldn't be a big deal. But when I had this thing made, or when I made this thing, it was kind of like in the middle of the season, so I got it on and just went back to work with it, and never really did anything with all this over here. But anyway, this can pretty much be done to any mower. I understand that different brands, they're not, as far as the chute goes, they're not built this same way. Not all mowers have the flip up deal with the chute and all that. But if you're creative enough, you can save yourself a good bit of money and just build one. What I would not recommend, though, for somebody who's wanting to build one, I would not recommend building it to where it's fixed, permanently to the discharge portion of the deck. Reason being is because, like I said a minute ago, if you ever get in any real thick grass or you get in some tall grass, it's going to take you a while to get through it if you've got that chute blocker down, or if it's permanently fixed to the discharge portion of the deck. Tall, thick grass, you really want to blow that stuff out and keep it moving. So I would not recommend just bolting it to the side of the deck or something. You need to have a way to where you can raise it up or pull it up, or however you're going to do it. You need to have a way where you can open that discharge up, because you're not always going to be in perfectly manicured grass. You're not always going to be somewhere where you can have that thing down all the time. There's going to come a time where you're going to have to open it up. So and I also too, I understand that everybody doesn't have access to a metal brake. And if you're not familiar with a metal brake, it's basically a fancy piece of equipment that you can bend steel with to a pretty precise degree. My suggestion for that, if you've got a piece of metal but you don't have access to a metal brake, or you don't know anybody that has one, call around. Just call around to your local welding shops, or if y'all have a a fabrication shop, or anywhere that does metal work, really. Call around and just say, hey, I got this piece of metal, I just need a 90-degree bend in it. Chances are you call them and say, hey, this is what I need, I'll throw you 20 or 30 bucks, whatever, you bend it for me. I mean, because it's like 2 or 3 minutes worth of work. So, that's what I would recommend. I don't know anybody who would turn down a $20 bill for 2 or 3 minutes worth of work. But anyway, like I said, if you don't have one, invest in one, because they are lifesavers. Like I said, swimming pools, flower beds, stuff like that, they are a must. And in this business, production, how fast you can work, you make more money. And this thing right here is definitely come in handy. Definitely saved me a lot of time, which has saved me a lot of dollars. Speaking of dollars, I want to tell you guys a little story real quick. I lost out on some money because I broke a belt. I didn't break a deck belt, I broke a drive belt. So I'm going to tell y'all a short story, and there will be a point to the story. There will be some information to be gathered by this story. There will be something to learn. So I have a customer who has a ton of trees in his yard. Great customer, excellent customer. So he's got a ton of trees in his yard, and he likes for me to maintain his yard up until pretty much when the leaves quit falling, which is just a couple of weeks ago, pretty much. Here in Georgia is when the last leaf hit the ground. So every couple of weeks I go over there and mulch the leaves up. Well, 2 weeks before Christmas, I went over there and mulched everything up, and he got with me and said, hey, I know the schedule's kind of tight and the holidays coming up. He said, is there any way you can come mulch it the same week as Christmas? And of course I told him, yeah, it wouldn't be no problem. So go over there, blow all the leaves away from the trees. I'm doing my normal thing. Blow all the leaves out away from the trees, away from the house and stuff, get the mower off. I make 2 passes in this guy's yard, and that belt broke. So if you've never broken a drive belt, every mower is pretty much the same. Every mower has a deck belt and a drive belt. I personally haven't seen any mowers that all run off of the same belt, and in all reality it wouldn't be possible, because when you cut the blades off you wouldn't be able to go anywhere. But anyway, you've got a deck belt and a drive belt. Some people call them a hydro belt, but it's basically just a belt that runs from the crankshaft, off the bottom of the engine, up to the hydrostatic drives. And if you look at this belt, it's y'all gonna have to look past all this crap in the back of my truck. I hadn't really had a chance to clean it out, but this belt is significantly smaller and less. I guess beefy would be the word, or less. Anyway, the deck belt is very it's bigger. It just looks beefier in general. So this belt's a good bit smaller, and that bad boy just completely snapped. I mean, it just broke clean in two. I mean, it didn't shred or anything. It just gone. So. Anyway, back to the story. So I cut this guy's, I'm mulching this guy's leaves up, make 2 passes around the yard, the belt breaks. Well, if you've ever broken a deck belt, if you've ever broken a drive belt, you know that when that thing breaks, you're not going anywhere. You're either going to have to pull the mower with something, or push it with something, or you're not going anywhere. So I wound up having to leave my mower at this guy's house. Run back to my house, which ain't but like a mile down the road. Run back to my house, get the trusty old Husqvarna walk behind. Go back over there, and my plan was to pull the Gravely up on the trailer with a walk behind, and everything was going good. I had to walk behind, actually on the sidewalk. And I had backed my trailer up where the gate was up on the curb, so I didn't have to fool with getting the mower off the curb and all that. Everything was going fine. Got up on the ramp of the trailer, and that little trusty Husqvarna, man, it was bogging. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was getting it. As soon as it hit the deck of the trailer, the wood on the trailer, it just lost all traction, started spinning the tires. So by this time it's starting to get dark, because I'm doing this, part time after my full time job. So I'm over there in the evening, and all this is going down. So it's starting to get dark, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I wound up having to use a pickaxe and a pointed nose shovel as wheel chocks, and use one of my ratchet straps as a come along to pull my gravely up on the trailer. If you've ever had to use a ratchet strap as a come along, it is not intended for that, and it takes 100 times longer, because the strap fills up on the spool so fast that you run out of room. You can't put any more. You can't wrap any more strap around the spool. So it was just a disaster, total disaster. I wound up getting home late that night. It was completely dark. It was just and then the next day I had to go to the dealer, buy a belt, come home, put it on, and go finish the job up. Customer was super cool about it though. I explained to him what was going on. Wasn't a big deal to him. But anyway, so all of that happened specifically because I was not prepared. In this business, and me knowing what I know about mechanic, work, and if you watched any of my other videos, you know that's what I do full time. I'm a mechanic. So me knowing what I know about the mechanical world and how all this stuff works, I try to be as prepared as I can. And a lot of guys, especially first starting out, they try to carry some stuff with them, extra tools and things like that, and that's great. But I see a lot of people being focused on being prepared for a job a customer might ask for, or something like that. Not necessarily being prepared for a breakdown, because nobody counts on a breakdown. They just come up out of nowhere, and you have to deal with them. So the very next day, or over the next couple of days, I went and bought me a come along. Which, if you don't know what a come along is, just Google it. It's basically like a ratchet strap with a tall arm, but it's got a steel cable, that runs out 10 or 12 foot or so. And that's, if I would have had a come along, the whole thing would have been no big deal. I would have gotten the mower down to the trailer, pulled it up on the trailer, hit the road. But instead, I wound up having to come back, get the Husqvarna, go back over there, do this, do that, use my ratchet strap. It was just a big ordeal. So the point of this whole story is to just be prepared. A lot of things can happen, and you can't be prepared for every single thing that's going to happen, but you can try to be prepared for most things, if that makes any sense. But if you don't have a come along, go get you one, or get you a little handheld winch. It runs off 12-volt DC, like what's in the mower, the battery in the mower, or the battery in your pickup truck or your car or whatever. You can hook it up to that, hit the button, it just reels it on in. So just try to be prepared. That's all. I found myself in a situation where I was not prepared, and it was a large ordeal. So to recap on this, if you don't have a chute blocker, go get you one. Get you one made. Make it yourself. It saves you a ton of time out there in the field. And have some tools with you. Some basic hand tools. Come along, stuff like that. I think that's going to wrap it up. I just wanted to shoot a quick video. Like I said, it's been a long time since I made a video, so I wanted to kind of get back on the YouTube thing, and I want to try to put a video out every 2 or 3 weeks. I have another topic in mind. You know, something else we're going to talk about. I think might be some valuable information for everybody. So, um, anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, and thank you for the subscribers. I'm still climbing subscribers, which is phenomenal. I can't believe this many people want to hear me talk about nonsense, but I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the subs. I appreciate the thumbs up. You know, even the thumbs down. You know, if I talk about something that nobody wants to hear about, give it a thumbs down, and we'll keep it moving. But I appreciate you guys really. So keep the comments coming. Keep the thumbs up coming. The you know, the subs. I really appreciate it, guys. So until next time, y'all take it easy.